If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, February 20th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Cloudy day on the way. Pop-up showers, the high 39. And then the weekend, well, it looks like this. Saturday, sun and clouds, high 46. That'll be the best day. And then on Sunday, a winter storm moves in. Snow will fall in the early evening into the overnight, and we'll probably get about 1 to 3 inches of snow here in the city. The high on Sunday will be 38. And if you're walking out the door with us right now, it is 34 and cloudy in Jericho out on Long Island, 33 and cloudy in Ridgewood over in New Jersey, and it's 34 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
The search for a New Jersey teen ends tragically. President Trump gives Iran more time to make a deal. There was another teen takeover, this time on Long Island. A purse snatching turns into so much more. And a Hoboken man should have never been able to keep his vicious dogs. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. This is just a heartbreaking story out of Plainfield, New Jersey. Do you remember this mom who had been in touch with us about her missing 19-year-old who has autism, went missing right after or a day or two before that big storm amid the deep freeze? Connor Oldfield was his name. Family members told us at the time that he had left his home wearing only his pajamas. So there was doorbell camera of him running down the street. Here was his mom.
I'm begging you, say something. If you don't want to call the cops, call the news station, call somebody. Just direct him home, direct him to somewhere where he can be safe. Because let him go. He needs to come home. He have a whole family that loves him.
Yeah, and unfortunately, police telling us last night that he was found dead in Plainfield's Green Brook, right near the Roosevelt Avenue Bridge. They didn't give us a whole lot more details, and I imagine they will later today. Not exactly clear on the timeline of when they found him, whether it's suspicious or not. But the mayor of Plainfield putting out a statement last night saying this is not the outcome that any of us wanted, and it's a loss that'll be felt throughout Plainfield. I would say throughout the tri-state, because so many people had been following this story. But unfortunately, again, 19-year-old Connor Oldfield, who had gone missing back on January 24th, has been found dead. 5:02, police investigating after a man was stabbed right in front of John Jay College on the Upper West Side last night. His 28-year-old hit in the back. It's not clear if it was a knife or some other sharp object. The campus right there on 59th Street. In fact, it's right across the street from Mount Sinai Hospital. So they just rushed him over there. We're being told he's okay. Police have not made any arrests, and they haven't told us of any motive. Are NYPD officers working too hard? Well, the mayor says he thinks so.
Mayor Zoran Mamdani thinks the NYPD retention problems are linked to too many responsibilities that have led to forced overtime.
We've seen an issue with retention in our department over the last few years, and I've said time and again that for too long the city has added additional responsibilities onto the NYPD.
Mamdani once again said tasking mental health professionals with mental health calls rather than cops is the way to go. He recently cut $6.5 billion from the police budget. I'm Lisa Ritchie, 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 5:03. Neighbors in Southeast Queens holding a rally yesterday. They're angry, disappointed in Mayor Mamdani and his proposal to increase property taxes. They say he promised affordable housing for his entire campaign and now has made an about face. And these are some people who voted for Mamdani getting together saying they can't afford the tax on their homes if it goes through.
Mayor Zoran Mamdani, you are out your goddamn mind.
To the mayor, with the greatest respect, in every campaign speech, in every debate where you engage, we opened our ears to listen. Now today, accept the words echoing from us now. Do your job as mayor and leave our taxes out.
Earlier this week, the mayor said he needed to close a $5.4 billion budget gap, and he only had two options. One was convince Governor Kathy Hochul to tax the wealthy, which she quickly has said she would refuse to do. The other option, which he said he did not want to do but may have to, is raise property taxes by 9.5%. But City Council said they would not approve this measure. But these homeowners, they're worried those council members and the mayor may cave. And so last night they got together to say, hey, you promised an affordable city. If you raise taxes by 9.5%, it'll no longer be affordable.
You are giving only two options. You're saying if we don't tax the rich, then I got to increase property taxes. We are not a pawn in Southeast Queens. We are not part of your negotiation tactics.
Yeah, that's just a number of some angry people across the city about that property tax. 5:05. New York City's week-long alternate side parking hiatus came to an end yesterday. And boy, were those ticket agents giving out a lot of tickets because people didn't know that the suspension was over. After being suspended for nearly a month, first because of the snowstorm, then because of a series of holidays, alternate side parking rules were back in effect yesterday, and we watched on as the sweepers came through, and worse, the traffic agents just handing out tons of those orange tickets.
Well, it's good to clean the streets up. That's the main thing. You see it, it's a disaster. It's really dirty out there.
I think that the road is ready. I'm not 100% sure. It looks like most of the snow has melted. So, yeah, I guess I'm happy to see the streets getting clean.
Yeah, I bet they don't park on the street. It is a $65 fine for failing to move the car from one side to the other, so the sweepers come through. The suspension began January 26 following the winter storm that dumped about a foot of snow in the city. Rules remained on hold for snow removal operations that extended through President's Day. Then you had the Lunar New Year, Ash Wednesday. So then they handed out tickets. They did put out the announcement that, hey, by the way, alternate side of the street parking rules are back in effect yesterday. But, of course, not everybody got the message. This guy claims he looked on the app and it said that suspension was still in effect, but it wasn't, and he got one of those $65 tickets.
It is expensive, but I can understand they got to clean the streets, you know. I know that part, but I saw it on the app. Yeah, it said it was going to be suspended, and now everybody's getting a ticket.
Yeah. Now, it wasn't the longest suspension of alternate side of the street parking rules. You have to go back to the COVID days. It was 120 days then. In 1978, during a storm, it was 50 days after that storm that they kept alternate side of the street parking rules in effect. In a moment, we'll go down to Washington, where President Trump is giving Iran more time to come up with a nuke plan before maybe we hit them. We'll get into that story in just a moment. Before 5:07, first check of traffic and transit on this early Friday morning. Good morning, Joe Nolan.
Well, good morning, Noam. And none of those people got tickets who listen here because every single report we do alternate side of the street parking.
This is true. You warned people, so if they didn't get the warning, then it's their fault.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if you're not listening, then it's your fault.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is absolutely right. Mandatory listening right here.
That's right.
WABC News Time 5:09. 2 teenagers under arrest for taking part in that stunt where they left a friend behind who got stuck in a shaft on the Queensboro Bridge Monday night.
NYPD confirming that a 14-year-old has been charged with reckless endangerment and criminal trespassing, and a 15-year-old has been charged with trespassing. One or both may be from Lynbrook, Long Island. That's where the 16-year-old who got stuck is from. His family on a GoFundMe page says a group went to the bridge to record a stunt for TikTok. After he fell 5 stories down the shaft, they say his friends left him and threw away his phone. He's now stable after being stuck there for 7 hours in freezing temperatures. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
That is some crazy story. They left him, and the only reason, and Andrew didn't mention this as a report, the only reason they found this kid 7 hours later is they had posted video of their friend screaming inside the shaft, and some woman said, I think this is real, and she went to police, and they were then able to find this kid in the Queensboro Bridge down there, and apparently he's in pretty bad shape still, so outrageous story. 5:10. Let's go down to Washington. President Trump giving Iran about 2 weeks to make a deal with the U.S., or maybe we may bomb them.
We're either going to get a deal or it's going to be unfortunate for them.
The reporters asking the president aboard Air Force One yesterday about the prospects for a military strike against the Islamic Republic if a nuclear weapons deal cannot be struck. The president said he would not discuss a possible strike, then said he'll give the current talks another 10 to 15 days.
Are we going to make a deal, or we're going to get a deal one way or the other? I would think that would be enough time, 10, 15 days, pretty much maximum.
There has been a significant increase in air and naval assets in the Middle East this week. The two countries did hold indirect talks in Geneva on Tuesday over ending Iran's pursuit of a nuclear weapon. While we're talking about the president, he says the Board of Peace will be one of the most important things he'll ever be involved in. He convened the first meeting of that board yesterday in D.C. with representatives from at least 20 countries.
So today is a tremendous honor to welcome you all to the United States Institute of Peace for the inaugural meeting of the Board of Peace. Very important. I believe it's the most consequential board, certainly in terms of power.
The president says the board will focus on issues like rebuilding of Gaza and ending other wars. And he expressed confidence that countries who have not joined the board will soon join.
Called the Board of Peace, and it's all about an easy word to say, but a hard word to produce: peace. But we're going to produce it, and we've been doing a really good job. But we work together to ensure the brighter future for the people of Gaza, the Middle East, and the entire world. I think that the Board of Peace, because it's mostly leaders and unbelievably respected people.
France, Germany, United Kingdom, Spain, they all declined invitations to join this international organization. But 24 countries have joined, including Arab states such as Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Armenia, Pakistan, Indonesia, Vietnam also on board. They signed on. Member states have pledged $5 billion towards rebuilding Gaza. 5:12, let's head over to the UK, where the former Prince Andrew released from police custody yesterday in the UK after being questioned about his dealings with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. British Royals commentator Hilary Fordwich says this latest development shows just how far Andrew has fallen.
Andrew has squandered the support of the British public because he was a war hero. He was favored by the nation.
Yeah, that's true. The former prince, he flew copter missions for the Royal Navy during the Falkland Islands War with Argentina back in 1982. But now he's being accused of misconduct in public office amid these new revelations about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. More from that from Rafe Sanchez.
It is hard to overstate how unprecedented this situation is. We have been speaking to royal historians. Nobody can think of a parallel in the modern era where you have the younger sibling of the sitting monarch in police custody and potentially facing charges.
It is a crazy story. King Charles expressing deep concern about the news, saying that the royal family will work to give any information they have to authorities.
The king saying, I have learned with the deepest concern the news about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and suspicion of misconduct in public office. What now follows is the full, fair, and proper process by which this issue is investigated in the appropriate manner and by the appropriate authorities.
And the thought is, and we don't know for sure, is the reason he was arrested is this latest batch of Epstein files to be released contains more emails between Andrew and Epstein from 2010.
And these files appear to contain sensitive UK government trade documents. Now, Andrew has faced repeated allegations of sexual abuse, allegations he's denied. That is not what he is being arrested for today.
Now, President Trump says he's been following us. He says the detainment of the former prince in the UK is a shame.
I think it's very sad. I think it's so bad for the royal family. It's a very, very sad. To me, it's a very sad thing. And I'm the one that can talk about it because I've been totally exonerated. I did nothing. In fact, the opposite. He was against me. He was fighting me in the election.
Yeah, and apparently UK authorities will release more information about this case a little bit later today. In a moment, we'll go out to California, to the Sierra Nevada, where they continue to look for one skier who potentially could be alive. They don't think he is, and 8 others who likely died in an avalanche. We'll get to that story in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. A happy Friday. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Happy Friday. Good morning to you, Noam Layden. Start here in Milan. Women's ice hockey yesterday, one half of a potential sweep of Canada on the Olympic ice out in Milan is done and finished with, as veteran defenseman Megan Keller scored a beauty of a golden goal in 3-on-3 overtime yesterday as the United States women's ice hockey team won Olympic gold by beating arch-rival Canada 2-1. The moment wouldn't have been possible without Captain Hillary Knight, who deflected a shot from defenseman Layla Edwards for the game-tying goal with just over 2 minutes remaining in the third period to give life to Team USA. The U.S. allowed only one goal all tournament before Canada fourth liner Kristen O'Neill scored shorthanded early in the second period. They marked the final Olympic game for 36-year-old Knight, who, with her second gold medal, became the most decorated player in U.S. women's hockey history. Knight's third period tally moved her into sole possession atop the U.S. record book, men's or women's, for most Olympic goals with 15 and points with 33. U.S. goalie Aaron Frankel made 30 saves, some spectacular, but didn't get the offensive support as Team USA continually missed opportunities in regulation until Knight capitalized. Nonetheless, the win cemented a dominant tournament for the American women, and now they have a gold medal to prove it. It was cool to watch, too. Aaron Frankel's from Chappaqua, Nome, where I grew up. And she was actually on our varsity hockey team for almost a full season.
Did she ever check you? Or?
No, well, she's a goalie, so that wouldn't be. Yeah,
okay.
Goalies don't really body check.
I thought maybe she checked you just anyway.
Did you ever watch a hockey game in your life? But no, it was really cool. You know, they kept cutting to Chappaqua, New York, where the Chappaqua Library was stuffed with, a bunch of Chappaqua-ians watching Aaron Frankel go for gold.
What are they called in Chappaqua?
Chappaqua-ians.
Oh, never knew that.
Well, you can't call them Chappaquiddics. That would be problematic.
Oh, yeah, that would be bad, yeah.
So,
different town.
Yeah, I kept yelling at the T, that's the Chappaqua Library.
Wow.
I used to do things in there.
Oh, you actually you visited that library?
Yeah. Well, not to read.
Lost one day.
Yeah. not to read books.
What's this building with all these books?
Right. I've been there.
And who's this Dewey guy?
Yeah, exactly.
All these numbers.
Who's this Dewey guy? Today, the men will try and keep taking care of business on their end of things. 3:10 p.m. this afternoon, their semifinal matchup against Slovakia. That is set and ready to go.
Are we going to win that one?
We should, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We got to win that one if we want to play for gold, and we are the favorites. So go out, take care of business. Listen, Sweden's a tougher team than Slovakia, and you already beat Sweden. So go out there, take care of business this afternoon, and hopefully meet Canada in the gold medal game. We'll find out before we even drop that puck if Canada's going to the gold medal game. Their semifinal against Finland, that is set for a 10:40 a.m. puck drop later on this morning. Country medal results as of this morning. United States leapfrogging Italy, head into second place. They got 27 total medals now. 9 of them are gold. And Norway still in the lead substantially here. 34 total medals, and 16 of them are gold. Quickly here to the hardwood at the Garden. Knicks lost 126-111 to the Pistons in their first game out of the All-Star break. Up next for them, they'll host the Houston Rockets tomorrow, and out in Cleveland, the Nets fell 112-84 to the Cavaliers to open up their second half of the regular season. Up next for them, they'll be in OKC tonight for an 8 p.m. tip-off against the Thunder. That is your Sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 521. Let's head out to California. Blizzard conditions in California's remote Sierra Nevada backcountry have been hindering the recovery of 8 skiers who died in an avalanche of snow. Morgan Chesky reports 6 skiers survived while another is missing and presumed dead.
The group, mostly women, were on the last day of a 3-day backcountry excursion and heading home when the fast-moving avalanche swept over them. 6 survivors, 2 women and 4 men, including a guide, sheltered in place, calling for help using emergency beacons and the iPhone SOS feature.
Dozens of search and rescue personnel on snowmobiles are ready to recover the bodies as soon as the winter weather clears.
Once the call went out, 2 teams of roughly 50 rescuers deployed. But brutal conditions on the mountain have been hampering the operation, taking first responders more than 6 hours hours to reach survivors in an area where the danger of another avalanche remains high.
Yeah, that's the issue. Ryan Ochoa, he's the battalion chief with the Truckee Fire Protection District. This is an area where he's used to going in, but he says it's dangerous now.
Up at that elevation, they're looking at, upwards of 5-6 feet of snow. And so just to get through that snow with snow machines or on skis would be a big task.
Can you imagine 5 or 6 feet of snow? We complain about a foot. Neighbors who live in this area have their whole life say this is all very tragic.
We're a small community and we look out for each other. And this is devastating. It affects us all.
Yeah, one person's dead. Nearly 24 avalanches happened in the mountains in northern Utah following a massive winter storm that slammed Utah's higher elevations with heavy snow.
The death occurred following an avalanche in Wasatch County in an area between Snake Creek and Ant Knolls. The Utah Avalanche Center confirmed the fatality happened Wednesday. The UAC reported 20 avalanches in the last 24 hours, 9 of which were determined to be human-triggered. Besides the fatal avalanche in Wasatch County, 2 skiers were partially or completely buried in an avalanche near Park City. According to forecasters, avalanche danger remains high. Yeah. I'm Jason Doolin.
Yeah, 523. There is a proposed one-time 5% wealth tax on California billionaires to fund healthcare efforts. Yeah, on billionaires. It's backed by, you might not be surprised, by Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who spoke at a rally supporting the tax in Los Angeles yesterday.
Never before have so few people had so much wealth and so much power.
Now, Governor Newsom, he opposes the tax, citing potential damage to the state's economy. Bernie Sanders, though, says this is the right thing to do.
Never before have we seen the kind of greed on the part of the ruling class than we see today. $10 billion pocket change. $100 billion, not enough. These people suffer from an addiction.
Now, the Billionaires Tax Act seeks a one-time 5% tax on the net worth of residents with over $1 billion to fund healthcare and education, aimed at roughly 200 of the state's wealthiest individuals. It could generate tens of billions in revenue, but faces opposition over potential capital flight, right? I mean, if someone's coming after 5% of your wealth, you might say, I'm going to move out of town. President Trump was touting his efforts yesterday to tackle affordability in Georgia. In a speech at a Georgia steel distributor, the president said his administration's global tariffs have dramatically improved the U.S. steel industry.
In 11 months, we have $18 trillion worth of investment coming into this country.
He went on to say his policies have already created thousands of new jobs. The visit comes as early voting kicks off in the district, which was formerly represented by Congresswoman Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene.
And you know, those public sector people that got cut, they hated me and now they love me because they've all gone out and gotten much better paying jobs in the private sector. And more Americans are working today than at any time in the history of our country. Think of that statement. Any time in the history of our country. The stock market has set 53 all-time record highs since the election. 53. Think of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of candidates, by the way, who are running for former Congressman Greene's seat. 525 investigators in southern Arizona continuing their search for Savannah Guthrie's mom, Nancy Guthrie, the missing 84-year-old. No signs of her. Not a lot of details. Correspondent Liz Kreutz reports they're considering some new possibilities as they continue their search for the mom.
Two officials familiar with the matter tell NBC News that since Nancy went missing, law enforcement has been in touch with officials on both sides of the border. While the sheriff says it's a possibility, he says there's no evidence she was taken to Mexico.
Now, investigators hope genetic genealogy will help them identify the person whose DNA was found on Guthrie's property. Meantime, more reward money being offered in the case somebody anonymously handed over $100,000. That's now combined with the $100,000 from the FBI.
To identify who that DNA belongs to, investigators are now turning to genetic genealogy, which in recent years has successfully identified other high-profile criminals like the Golden State Killer and University of Idaho murderer Brian Koberger. Investigators are also canvassing gun stores across Tucson in hopes of identifying the armed suspect who had an unusual holster. Owners of 2 different gun shops tell us investigators came to their stores with a list of names and photos.
It is amazing this person has eluded police and the FBI. I mean, the whole world's looking for them and no sign of them. Nancy Guthrie reported missing February 1st, believed to have been abducted from her home in Tucson. The Reverend Jesse Jackson's children reflecting on his legacy ahead of his memorial services that are set to begin next week. Yusuf Jackson said his father was a man who was dedicated to life to public service by protecting and defending civil and human rights.
To make our nation better, to make the world more just, our people better neighbors with each other.
The siblings were all outside the Reverend's Chicago home yesterday. Jonathan Jackson, Sunita, Ashley, Jesse Jackson Jr. sharing emotional tributes outside the Reverend's Chicago home yesterday. Services for the civil rights icon begin with a lying in state at the Rainbow Push Coalition in Chicago next Wednesday and Thursday. What they're calling the People's Celebration will take place February 27th at the House of Hope in Chicago.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, February 20th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Cloudy day on the way. We're going to see some pop-up showers. The high 39. Saturday, sun and clouds. High 46. We like that. And then Sunday, this winter storm moves in, so snow will start to fall likely in the afternoon into the evening here in the city and into the overnight. We could have 1 to 3 inches here in the city. The high on Sunday will be 38. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 34 cloudy in Jericho out on Long Island. It's 33 and cloudy in Ridgewood over in New Jersey. And it's 34 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 541. Let's head out to Hoboken, New Jersey. A court hearing will decide the fate of a group of dogs after 3 animals attacked other dogs being walked in Hoboken this week. So this attack was caught on video. It was hard to watch. What happened was 3 dogs that were unleashed got out of a car outside a shop right there and then attacked dogs that were on leashes being walked by dog walkers. And they did some serious damage to a Bernedoodle named Frank. Here's one of the dog walkers talking about what took place.
I saw the dog and saw one of the punctures. I saw that and I declared that he definitely needed to go to the vet after that. So we called the owners right away.
Yeah, so that's one of 8 dogs that were attacked by these 3 dogs that, by the way, have attacked other dogs in other towns. One of the dogs attacked was named Frank, and here's her owner.
We're beyond disgusted. It is so irresponsible. I believe that they should be behind bars. Not being responsible, not only for your dogs, but for the training.
Frank is home recovering, but the dog's still on edge after being attacked. This was the middle of the day on Wednesday.
Frank was the dog that was mauled by the Cane Corso, and they found 2 deep puncture wounds, both requiring drains. And then there's some subficial puncture wounds up here that hopefully will be able to heal on their own.
Now, these same 3 dogs apparently attacked a man and a woman at a Red Roof Inn in Secaucus on Monday night, and they were looking for this guy. Now they know where he is. Now it's just a matter of they can legally take the dogs away, which you would think they could, and then what kind of charges they can slap this dope with for having vicious dogs not on leashes and letting them get out and attack other dogs.
This is not our normal Frank. Frank is very energetic, loving, playful. He's smart. And seeing him in this state has been heartbreaking.
My wife was in a rage about this yesterday. This happened, just full transparency, just a couple blocks from my house. And she said she would have killed, this is the word she used, I would have killed the person who owned the dogs. And then I asked her, would she do the same for me? And she said, no, she probably would not. So far, no criminal charges have been filed, but apparently the owner has been issued a bunch of tickets in the past. It's probably time to take this guy's dogs away. away and slap him with a bunch of charges for what he did to those other dogs. 5:43 while we're in New Jersey. Tensions in Elizabeth are high, where some families say the school board ignoring their concerns about the presence of ICE agents in town. There was this heated school board meeting last night. Community members calling out administrators by name, demanding action, and there was all kinds of accusations flying around about what's taking place at Elizabeth High. Some students say the principal there threatened discipline against them when they decided they were going to join an anti-ICE march, and claimed that he was going to call ICE agents into the school. Here's the mother describing what she says allegedly took place.
My daughter was telling me that they were making posters at their own time at the lunch. They weren't interrupting anybody. They were doing it in their own space. And then he started threatening them, telling them that ICE was going to come and get them.
Now, the school board pushed back against that last night. They said there's no video, no audio. Nobody else seemed to hear this, and that the principal would never come out and say that he was going to bring ICE agents into the school because they have a policy.
Those that are spreading rumors or half-truths or mistruths are only exacerbating the nervousness within the community.
Yeah, and this community is very nervous. It's a big immigrant community. He also says the school district does have a clear policy regarding ICE agents and that they're not allowed in schools there.
No ICE agent, no federal agent is allowed to enter any one of our schools without a judicial warrant signed by a federal judge.
Yeah, but some parents there on edge. In a moment, we'll head out to Long Island, where there was another one of those teenage takeover at another mall. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noah Maladen. Start out here in Milan. U.S. women's ice hockey team, they are golden. Megan Keller scored the golden goal in 3-on-3 overtime yesterday as the U.S. women's ice hockey team won Olympic gold by beating arch rival Canada 2-1. That moment wouldn't have been possible without Captain Hillary Knight, who deflected a shot from defenseman Layla Edwards for the game-tying goal with just over 2 minutes remaining in the third period to give life to Team USA. U.S. had allowed only one goal all tournament for Canada fourth liner Kristen O'Neill. Scored shorthanded early in the second period, marked the final Olympic game for 36-year-old Knight, who with her second gold medal became the most decorated player in U.S. women's hockey history. Knight's third period tally moved her into sole possession atop the U.S. record book, men's or women's, for most Olympic goals at 15 and points with 33. U.S. goalie Aaron Frankel made 30 saves, some spectacular, but didn't get the offensive support as Team USA continually missed opportunities in regulation until Knight capitalized. Nonetheless, the win cemented a dominant tournament for the American women, and now they have a gold medal to prove it. Today, we're looking ahead to the men's ice hockey action. 10:40 a.m. later this morning, we'll see Canada and Finland in the first semifinal matchup there. And then later on this afternoon, the big one, 3:10 p.m. puck drop.
That's perfect timing for us.
Isn't that just a beautiful
every game
thing?
Could be at 3:10, no matter what it was. A World Series game, NBA Finals.
Like right when I get home, it's like
it's perfect.
And then and you don't have to rush home.
No.
So like I don't have to. I live 20 blocks away, so it's. I can kind of stroll on home. Well, What are you shaking your head at over there?
What? Shaking my head.
I saw you shaking your head.
Like 4 o'clock so Lou can get home. We'll make it 4 o'clock.
Right, okay, sorry.
I'll just keep texting you to make sure you've gotten home, okay?
All right.
So that'll complete
I should be texting
day.
you to make you mean after the game? You mean after the game?
No, I'm not going to depend on you to text me because you're either going to hit a bar first.
No, yeah.
Or you're just going to collapse in your house and scream.
I'm not sure I will make it home after the game if I do hit a bar.
Oh, no, you're not. No, you're not. Home first, maybe.
Yeah, I got to go home first, paint my face. I'm painting my face for this one, so.
All right.
So looking ahead to that, we go up against Slovakia for a chance, for a shot to go to that gold medal game.
I feel like there's going to
Sunday.
be some sort of obscene TikTok we're going to see from you before the weekend is out.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Why not? That's a given normally.
Well, Friday is up, probably.
Yeah, it reminds me of football season. Reminds me of watching the Eagles every Sunday. That's what I'm saying. Country medal results as of this morning. United States.
You would not have survived 1980 then.
No. Not even a little bit. I would have been there. United States leapfrogging Italy yesterday. They're in second place now in the country medal results, 27 total. 9 of them are gold. Norway still in first, 34 total medals, 16 gold. Basketball returned last night. Both the Knicks and the Nets back in action. Both of them lost. Knicks lost 126-111 to the Pistons. Up next for them, they'll host the Houston Rockets tomorrow. Now in Cleveland, the Nets fell 112-84 to the Cavs. Up next for the Nets, they'll be in OKC tonight. That's an 8 p.m. tip-off against the Thunder. That's your Sports Noam. I'm Justin Alex, 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:50. Let's go out to Long Island. The Green Acres Mall yesterday flooded by teenagers after social media posts called for a so-called takeover. Do you remember earlier this week it was in the Bronx, the same thing, teens showing up at a mall in Baychester causing all kinds of problems, breaking a window at a McDonald's, flooding stores. Well, it happened at Green Acres Mall yesterday, and shoppers say the teens were running wild.
That is crazy. There are all these kids running up and down all over the place.
I can't come in and go out of the mall. Like we got looked in Akira for like 2 hours.
Yeah, we are also told that there was going to be a teen takeover at the Cross County Mall. That's the one up in Yonkers, but police, I guess, got a handle of that. Now they're going through social media to see when other ones may take place. In this case, 9 people were arrested yesterday at the Green Acres Mall. We didn't see the same kind of destruction that we saw up in the Bronx, but people who are at the mall, they're just going there to go shopping. You have these store owners who are frightened, and they say, what's going on at home that these kids are able to sneak out of the house and go to a mall and cause chaos?
Parents need to really start taking more steps to know what their kids are up to.
It's very a shame because back in my days we never did this kind of stuff. Yeah. It's the type of discipline and the respect people have now is really absurd.
Yeah, she's right about that. 5:52 while we're out on Long Island. A man is accused of dragging a woman with his car during this violent robbery outside a TJ Maxx in Port Jefferson. A 64-year-old woman. She was just walking in the parking lot when a man drove up to her yesterday, grabbed her purse. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You can say she maybe made the mistake of holding on to her purse, but, that's reflex. You say, okay, I'm not going to let go. Well, this guy got back into his car. She's still holding on to the purse. He drives away and drags her for a short distance before she lets go of the bag, and the driver takes off.
Extremely scary. The world is crazy right now, and you have to be on your guard all the time.
They taped everything off like a crime scene tape all around the TJ Maxx parking lot.
The woman taken to the hospital. Thankfully, she's going to be okay. Now, the story got a little more strange. The Suffolk County Police then figured out who this individual was. They started to chase him. He crashed about 8 miles from where the initial robbery took place. And apparently, as police were walking up to his car, he started stabbing himself.
It's just unbelievable to hear stuff like that that's close to home.
Yeah, officers arrested the driver, identified as 53-year-old Mark Callahan. He has non-life-threatening injuries in the hospital and facing now a slew of charges. New York State gonna pump the brakes on plans for driverless ride shares outside of the city. It's a loss for the robo-taxi company Waymo, which has been testing autonomous vehicles with human drivers in the city. The company wanted to start a commercial service throughout New York State, but the labor unions, transit workers, rideshare drivers getting in the way of that. So Waymo telling CNBC this morning that even though it's disappointed, it'll continue testing its self-driving cars here in Manhattan and Brooklyn, which it's been doing since last year. Now, I can tell you, we did a lot of Waymos when I was in San Francisco with my kids over the summer, and you got to get past the first ride where there's no driver and you're like, what is going on, to realize it's one of the safest rides you're going to take. Now, of course, I understand that means people will lose their jobs, but I felt safer in those Waymo cars than I did with people with drivers. Mayor Mamdani thinks NYPD retention problems are linked to too many responsibilities that had left enforced overtime, and has some NYPD cops leaving the force. And so he's again calling for police officers just to respond to crimes instead of these mental health calls, which they respond to a lot of over the course of a year.
We see at this point the NYPD responsible for responding to about 200,000 mental health calls a year.
And he cited the fact that police are now responsible or responding to about 200,000 mental health calls a year. The mayor once again saying that tasking mental health professionals with those calls through a Department of Community Safety is the way to go. It would be better for everybody around.
To ensure that police can focus on the work that they signed up to focus on, which is tackling violent crime across the city. We've seen an issue with retention in our department over the last few years, and I've said time and again that for too long the city has added additional responsibilities onto the NYPD.
Now, other mayors have tried to do this. Mondani's, by the way, $6.5 billion budget for the NYPD does not include former Mayor Adams' previous plan, which was to hire 5,000 cops. WABC News Time 5:55. Contract negotiations going to resume today for more than 4,200 New York Presbyterian Hospital nurses who are still on the picket line for about a month and a half now. Now, we told that talks went pretty well yesterday and that a tentative deal may be voted on very soon. And this nurse really hopeful that's happening because she's gone more than a month without a paycheck.
The mediators came to the table to talk to us, and now today they're going to be talking with the NYP management. It's encouraging that we're going to probably have some kind of an agreement.
Yeah, now again, we were told last night that there is a tentative deal on the table and that the striking nurses may be voting on that soon. And police asking for some help in a frightening home invasion that took place in East New York. It started with a knock at the door, ended with $120,000 in stolen property. It happened at 9:30 in the morning in East New York. So this 31-year-old man and 30-year-old woman were inside their home when they got a knock. The person on the other side of the door claimed to be from a cleaning company. So they opened the door, and as soon as they did, 3 people forced their way in, all showing guns. They walked out with about $118,000 in jewelry. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. So far, they have not been able to find this crew, but they do have some pictures, and we'll put them up at WABCRadio.com. Here's a woman who lives in the building.
It's very frightening. And I stay in my house and pray. That's all I can do, stay in my house and pray. Because there's so much going on. You don't know who you can talk to and who you cannot talk to.
Yeah, so people in this building in East New York frightened until they're, track these 3 down who are involved in that crime.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.